Hello everyone, my name is Marah, and today's case is about Yasmin Acree, who was only 15 years old when she went missing from Chicago, Illinois in January of 2008. And just a quick reminder before I get started, that I always try to do the best research and get the most accurate information I can for every single case that I cover. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's case. I also wanted to add this in too before I get started, that in this case, there is talk of abuse, sexual assault, and suicide. Yasmin Rayon Acree was born on October 25th of 1992 in Kentucky, and in 2008, she was a freshman at Austin Polytech Academy. She had lots of friends and loved to talk. While she was in 8th grade, she was doing really well in school and was salutatorian of her class, but once starting high school, her grades began to slip. Yasmin enjoyed spending her free time at the YMCA, where she did numerous different sports. Through the YMCA mentorship program, she got offered a spot to go with them on a trip in the summer of 2008, so she was very much looking forward to this. She also was very excited to start her very first job. But for a minute here, let's go back and talk about her early years of life. When her and her brother DeMarcus were young, her mom was struggling with drug addiction. So Yasmin and her brother were put into the foster care system in Kentucky as toddlers. While in the foster care system, poor Yasmin was sexually abused. She also developed severe behavior and emotional problems. So from a young age, she already had a really rough start at life. But in 2001, DeMarcus and Yasmin went to live with their aunt. Rose Mae Starnes is their aunt through marriage. She adopted both of them in 2006. Rose said that she loved Yasmin so much, but she struggled dealing with her behavior. She admitted to occasionally hitting Yasmin with a belt and locking her in the basement if she was misbehaving. And my guess is, since her and her brother both went through all these traumatic things, starting from a young age, that DeMarcus was struggling as well. Because in 2007, at the age of 16, Rose asked him to move out of her house. And once he moved out, Yasmin was the only child living in the home. It said that her bedroom was down in the basement where she was isolated away from the rest of the family. But on January 15th of 2008, Yasmin has a half day of school. Since it was an early release, she decided to go to the YMCA, where I'm sure she went to go play the sports that she enjoyed. And it seemed like this was an outlet for her. I'm sure she had people there that loved her and where she could feel comfortable and safe. Later on in the evening, she returns home, does some laundry, and then goes downstairs to her basement bedroom to go to sleep for the night. My understanding is that down in this basement, there's a door that leads to the outside, so that they had it locked from the outside so nobody could get in. And I've seen different accounts about if it was Rose that noticed that the locks were cut, or if that it was her boyfriend. But either way, these locks had been cut, and somebody had gotten in and burglarized the downstairs. And for whatever reason, in my research, they just seemed like it was just like a casual thing. It was just another day. And that they just assumed that Yasmin had went to school and then somebody broke in after. But when she does not return home from school later on that evening, they decide to report her as missing. And even though she did not have a history of running away, that's what the police said right away. Oh, I'm sure she just ran away. Just give her a few days and she'll show back up. But it said that Rose and her family did not feel like she just ran away. But since the Chicago Police Department believes that this is what happened, they do not come back to investigate until 2 days after. They search the home and they say that they're not able to find any fingerprints and that there's no evidence. So sadly, there was still no progress in where Yasmin was or what happened to her. Reverend Marshall Hatch, who was pastor of a local Baptist church, made this statement. Because she's a 15-year-old African American from the West Side, this case isn't getting the attention it deserves. And as sad as it may be, I know it's the truth. Some cases get all of this coverage, while other cases are lucky to get even one article written about them. But 3 years after Yasmin's disappearance, in 2011, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children released an age progression of what Yasmin may have looked like then. That's when Rose allowed reporters into her home to discuss Yasmin's disappearance. She even allowed them into Yasmin's room and allowed them to look through her things. It was reported while they were looking, they ended up finding Yasmin's diary that she had hid in a room. In her diary, Yasmin wrote about how she had been friendly with a former tenant who was living in the second-floor apartment at the time of her disappearance. They bring this information to the Chicago Police Department. This man's name is Jimmy Terrell Smith. He was 35 years old at the time she disappeared. But him and his dad started renting the upstairs apartment of Rose's two-flat home in 2005. It was said that Jimmy's dad and Rose were friends. And when he moved in with them, he had just gotten out of prison for serving more than 10 years for attempted murder. Jimmy was then arrested again a year after Yasmin went missing in 2009. Rose also never mentioned to authorities that Jimmy was even living there until after his arrest. She told them that she thought maybe Jimmy had something to do with Yasmin's disappearance, but she didn't say anything because she had no evidence and she didn't want to ruin his reputation. And I am honestly trying so hard not to be judgmental about this, but I just don't understand why would she not say something. I'm thinking, who cares about this man's reputation if he did something to your adopted daughter? And also, not trying to be rude, and this might sound really bad, but I think he ruined his own reputation when he was convicted of murder. And then when he was arrested again in 2009 for raping 5 girls and for the kidnapping of 2 14-year-old girls. Authorities say that they have interviewed him multiple times, but they have never been able to find any evidence linking him to Yasmin's disappearance. Rose said that she wanted to know the truth about what really happened to Yasmin. In 2013, Rose and Reverend Marah Acree, who is Yasmin's uncle, went and seen Jimmy at Cook County Jail, and they were there to get some answers. This is a quote from Rose about when they went to talk with Jimmy. She said, "He really didn't want to tell us much when we first went there. He finally broke down, though, and let us know everything. I asked him first, is she alive? He shook his head and said no." He said that Yasmin wanted to commit suicide and that he assisted her. So he brought her to a house on the 2200 block of South Spalding in Chicago, Illinois. And he said he burned her body in a garbage can in the garage after she killed herself. Rose said that she did not believe him, that she believes that Jimmy raped and then killed Yasmin. Also because when he was talking to her, he knew all these different details about Yasmin's basement bedroom. Also about a pair of boots that were missing from her room. But overall, this whole visit really didn't bring them any more closer to any answers. And sadly, in 2014, Rose passed away. And then in 2019, Jimmy got himself into more trouble. He had hired a hitman to kill a Cook County judge because this judge had charged him with rape. Yasmin's family feels as though the police have just let them down because the police just assumed that she ran away and that they missed a bunch of evidence in her room. One of the pieces of evidence that they never looked into was this lock that was cut from the security door. But my heart is just broken for this poor girl because from the very beginning, Yasmin was dealt this really tough life. And she was trying really hard to do all these positive things and move forward. And there is a chance that she could be alive. But in my own personal opinion, I do not think that that is very likely. Her brother DeMarcus said there's really been no closure on our end as far as understanding what happened or knowing her last thoughts and her last whereabouts. I want to hear what all of you think happened to Yasmin. Who do you think was responsible? I have seen theories where people do believe that Rose or even maybe her boyfriend were involved in Yasmin's disappearance. And then that the other one was just that it was Jimmy. That seems very likely with all of his history. But either way, I think all around from the police, from some of her family, Yasmin was definitely failed and she deserves to have some justice. To this day, her case remains unsolved and foul play is suspected. There is a $10,000 reward for any information relating to Yasmin's case. If she is alive, she would be 30 years old today, and this is the most recent age progression of what Yasmin may look like now. So if you or anyone you know knows anything, please reach out to the Chicago Police Department. I'm going to link all those numbers down below. And I just can't get over this, while researching this whole story and case, it's just from the moment she was born, she had all of this stuff just stacked against her. It would be so great to see her get the justice that she deserves. But I appreciate all of you for watching this video. If I missed anything, comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, like this video, and I will see you all next time.